Works for You begins right now with breaking news. Flames and thick black smoke fill the sky over Green Country after a drilling rig explodes.
The fire is still ongoing on location.
Intense flames rip through the platform, reducing it to rubble, leaving 5 people missing.
That's why we pulled everybody back out, was because we're still continuing to have secondary explosions right now.
What we have just learned about the victims and how our neighbors are coming together to get through this tragic event.
Hey, good evening to you. It has been a somber day in southern parts of our viewing area in Pittsburg County. Workers were drilling for natural gas when their rig exploded near Quinton. Of the 22 employees working on the rig at the time, 5 are missing. 17 are accounted for, and one of them was flown to a hospital with burn injuries. Authorities have not confirmed any deaths right now as the search for the 5 continues. Meanwhile, tonight we are working for you with live team coverage on the rig explosion. Our reporters are fanned out across the region as the community there copes now with the aftermath. Starting with 2 Works for You anchor Karen Larson. She is live near Quinton with the latest on the emergency response. Karen.
Well, Brian, as you mentioned, 5 men are missing, and it all started with a massive explosion at a natural gas well that's being drilled just west of the town of Quinton. It is a town that is just in shock. Responders from multiple agencies are here on the scene, waiting and watching and hoping that a well containment team can get control of that well. Now, aerial video shows that there were several fires that were started by the blast, and in fact, there were several explosions following the initial blast. And the derrick on the site, that is the towering metal structure that should be above the well, it has collapsed onto the ground.
Breaking news. Angry teachers fed up and demanding more. Thousands gather at the Oklahoma Capitol for a massive statewide walkout.
I'm not walking out on my children or my students. I'm walking out for my students.
Despite a bill signed by the governor, teachers are still demanding better pay and funding for their students.
We need the legislature to keep working. They need to fully fund our classrooms.
2 Works for You begins right now with breaking news.
And good evening to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're coming to you live from the Oklahoma State Capitol, where thousands of teachers turned out in protest of education funding.
And earlier today, they had this building surrounded. We spoke to some state officials who estimate about 25,000 to 30,000 people were here at today's rally. Of course, enhanced security by Oklahoma State troopers were in place on the grounds and inside the building.
And we are working for you with team coverage tonight. Our reporters are looking at the angle, every angle of today's walkout, including a slew of new school closings for tomorrow. And we have a list scrolling at the bottom of your screen.
First, for Tulsa teachers, this rally began very early this morning as they bust in here to Oklahoma City.
That's right. Many saying that this is the largest rally they've seen in decades, if ever. And in fact, they plan to continue protesting even longer in the days ahead.
2 Works for You begins right now with breaking news.
Good evening to you. That breaking news: wildfires are burning hundreds of acres across Green Country right now. You can see the smoke out in the distance. This is looking towards Sand Springs from our tower camera. Firefighters are battling multiple fires in that area, even forcing some people to evacuate. That includes the Osage Casino out there. We have team coverage on tonight's wildfire threats, starting with 2 Works for You reporter Megan Allison. Megan, what's happening out there?
Well, Brian, we're off of 129th West Avenue. You can see the smoke. You can hear the alarms. Lots of fire action in this area.
All right, if you are headed west from downtown Tulsa, do not take Highway 412. Find an alternate route. We are looking at smoke from multiple wildfires in the Sand Springs area. That smoke is so thick that drivers cannot see. So parts of Highway 412 and Wekiwa Road are shut down. Emergency crews in the area are spread thin. They're asking you not to call 911 unless you are in immediate danger. But we've seen a number of people just trying to get to their kids and their pets and understand what is going on out in Sand Springs. We have 2 reporters on the scene. We will keep you posted here and online at KJRH.com. We'll be right back.
Breaking news tonight: a Tulsa man in custody less than 24 hours after a bombing at a military recruiting center.
Also, new video of an Oklahoma prison riot tonight. The stress on prison guards to do more with less.
Plus, a state of emergency with an increase in hacking tonight. We're learning just how vulnerable the nation's 911 system is now.
2 Works for You begins right now with breaking news.
Good evening to you. Much of our community is stunned today after a fly-by-night attack on Bixby's Air Force Recruiting Center.
A 28-year-old Tulsa man now in custody. 2 Works for You is told that Ben Roden may be connected to the pipe bomb explosion. To understand the gravity of the situation and the panic that followed, we take you back to just 24 hours ago. Last night, employees at the recruiting center first alarmed when cars parked nearby were vandalized, tires slashed, and side panels kicked in. Then that night, the first call comes in as the explosion rocked the area at 105th and Memorial. And late today, signs of the damage disappearing. Workers started replacing all the broken windows and a blown out front door at the office.
With Ben Roden now a person of interest in the bombing, we're learning more about him and his Facebook post from Sunday.
2 Works for You reporter Katie Wisely is live outside the Sand-Dollar Apartments where he was taken into custody earlier this afternoon. Katie.
We go in depth tonight. There have been a string of attacks on recruiting centers over the last 7 years. Back in 2015, a gunman started shooting at a recruiting center in a strip mall in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 4 Marines died and a sailor was injured in that attack. 2 soldiers were shot at a military recruiting center in Little Rock, Arkansas in 2009, and a bomb exploded in front of a Times Square recruiting center in March of 2008. As we learn more about the bombing in Bixby and Ben Roden, the person of interest, stay with 2 Works for You. You can always get alerts about this story by downloading the 2 Works for You app. Just search for it in your app store.
Starring Jimmy Fallon, Jeff Bridges drops by. NBC Tonight.
You're watching 2 Works for You at 10.
Cleaning up the chaos in Tulsa after rare August tornadoes ripped through the city and surrounding areas.
Like an explosion going off?
One striking a normally bustling shopping center and neighborhoods around 1:30 in the morning Sunday.
I'm in awe that we're alive. I thank the Lord because this is just, I've never seen this in real person. You see it on the movies, you see it on the news, but in real life it's really bad.
People injured, some by flying debris, others by collapsing buildings.
It's some lacerations, pretty serious lacerations.
The focus now shifts to rebuilding as Tulsans take stock of the damage. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. There is new information coming into our newsroom. The National Weather Service confirming a 4th tornado touched down early Sunday morning. The first and strongest one, an EF2 tornado developing near 41st and Yale. It was 550 yards wide, stayed on the ground for nearly 6 miles. Another tornado, this one rated as an EF1, touching down minutes later in Broken Arrow. A 3rd tornado, also rated EF1, struck east of Oologah. And that 4th tornado, an EF1 that we just learned about, touching down south of Chelsea. After those 4 tornadoes, we're really starting to understand the scope of the damage. The city of Tulsa tells us 125 businesses were damaged, 4 of those destroyed. 25 homes also damaged, just 1 home, a complete loss. EMSA says 26 people ended up injured by the storms.
Monsoon here in Oklahoma. I'm going to get away from it. Oh, that was neat.
That is cell phone video that we are just getting into our newsroom tonight from Austin Sleeper. He was inside the TGI Fridays. That is video that you're seeing of the tornado just a second before it hit that restaurant. You can hear them saying it's monsoon season. We better get away from the window, and then seeing the lightning flash, which is often a sign of a tornado, and saying, oh, that's cool. Very dangerous situation. I've also talked with a woman named Cheryl who was badly injured in that restaurant. We'll be talking with her tomorrow. We'll also talk about a near-death experience. A Tulsa couple driving in their car when the tornado hit, sending them 10 feet into the air. 2 Works for You reporter Katie Wisely is live near Promenade Mall where the couple had to take cover.